Hi, I'm Casey Kimbrough, and this is 2Exalt Ministry. Today's lesson is the spiritual mind, how to activate it, how to use it, how to protect it, and then I'm going to challenge you to go forth and do something about it. Let me tell you the story about Solomon. Solomon was David's son, and Solomon was a great leader, but he wasn't always a great leader. He came to power very young, and when he did, he was concerned about whether or not he had the capacity, the skills to lead the people. And so what Solomon did was, one day when he was praying, he prayed to God, and he asked God, and God asked him, Solomon, what is it that you want? And Solomon asked God, not for wealth, not for power, but he asked God for wisdom, for understanding. And God was so kind and gracious to Solomon that God not only granted him wisdom and understanding, but he also granted him wealth and influence. And in time, Solomon became known as the wisest man in the Bible. And that today is what I call the spiritual mind. The spiritual mind is a mind that has connected with God, a mind that seeks after God, and a mind that understands that without God, you can do nothing. You can read about Solomon in 1 Kings chapter 3. But let's talk about the spiritual mind. The spiritual mind, today I want to talk about how to activate it. I want to talk about the spiritual mind can change your life, to protect your mind, and then I'm going to challenge you to go do something about it. To activate your spiritual mind, what does that mean? It means that you have activated the whole of the self, your feelings, your love, your joy, your gratitude, your creativity, your caring, your growing, you're curious, your justice, you seek justice, you're a generous person. It is to say that the whole person of who you are has been activated as you are seeking and in relationship with God. It is a state that understands that you're doing the right thing at the right time. The right thing at the right time. It's your heart and your mind working together. In the Hebrew, the heart is the center of understanding. And so for the Hebrew, there's no separation between the heart and the mind. It's the center of thought, but it's also the center of emotion. It's not like in our contemporary world where we try to make these separations between our thinking and our feelings. To be a whole person, to be a wise person, to have an activated spiritual mind is to understand that all of you, all of who you are, has engaged God as your creator. And that's what our lesson is about. It's having a mindset that is connected ultimately with your creator and then ultimately with your purpose as to why you were created. The life that you live, I believe, is a gift from God. And I know many of you believe that as well. And as a gift from God, you would want to maximize that. You would want to get the most out of it. And how can I get the most out of my life? It begins with the center of thinking, of thought. And when you get your thoughts and your mind in right order, then all the rest of your life will follow behind that. So what does it mean to have a spiritual mind? It begins with a simple conversation. It begins primarily with listening and being still and presenting yourself before your Creator. In doing so, you are seeking God's revelation, and God is always in the process of revealing. It's a wonderful process of growth and becoming. Technically, a mindset is a mental attitude. It's a disposition it's a way of looking at life. And we all have a mindset. It's just a question of which one do you have and do you recognize it? And so we affirm that whatever we put our mind to, we can achieve it. You've heard it said, if you believe it, you can achieve it. But what that means is when you put your mind and the power of your mind behind it, that will begin to manifest. So first of all, that's what an active mind is. That's what a spiritual mind is. And so secondly, what will it do for me? Secondly, a spiritual mind will change your life. If you're seeking change in your life in any arena of your life, whether it's professionally, whether it's personally, if it's your health, if it's a relationship, if it's in relationship to wealth and prosperity, it begins with your mind. And so if you desire change, if there are situations in your life which you are not pleased with, and you want to see a shifting, that change, it begins within you. It begins in your mind. Your outer world is simply a result of your inner world. And when your inner world changes, your outer world will change. So if you want to change your address, you want to change your clothes, you want to change your automobile, you want to change relationships, guess what? Don't start on the outside, start on the inside. That's where it all begins. It begins in your mind. Those who study success tell us that 80% of success is in the mind. It's in the psychology of success. It's the way we think. It's the way we process. It's the decisions we make. And only 20% is about the actions we take. It's about the process or the strategies applied. So you can see that before any process, that the thinking has to be in line. So you have to get your thinking in line, and you have to be guided by that. And lastly, once you start moving in that direction, you have to be intentional in protecting your mindset. That's right, you have to protect your mind. I love this quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi said this way, "I will not let anyone walk through my mind with dirty feet." Can you imagine that? Would you let somebody walk through your house with dirty feet? Of course you wouldn't. Why would you let somebody walk through your mind with dirty feet and leaving mud and impressions of negativity in your mind? No, you are in charge of your mind. Just like you have to open the front door of your house, you have to open the front door of your mind. And only what you allow to live in your mind, to visit your mind, will exist in that space. You are in charge of your mind. Okay, so what do I need to do? First of all, you need to make a decision. That's right, you need to make a decision right now. I'm going to change my circumstance. I'm going to make a shift. It's not until you make a decision. Everything begins with that decision. Once you decide, you have now begun the process to protect your mind. You now begin the journey to a positive mindset. You now begin the journey to an extraordinary life. If you want an extraordinary life, and you can't have an extraordinary life, you can have a fulfilled life. It begins with a decision. The decisions you make will determine the quality of the life that you live. So you have to make a decision. Secondly, I want you to take control of your life. In other words, take 100% responsibility for your journey. Do not give it over to somebody else. Do not say, if somebody would have did this, this would have happened. No, it's not until you take 100% responsibility for your life will you ever be able to make the kind of change, and particularly if it's significant change, that you want to make in your life. See, all change begins in the mind. If you keep the same thinking, you get the same results. If you keep the same thinking, you get the same results. I've said this, and please don't be offended. Stinking thinking creates stinking results. That's right. And so the way you think determines the kind of results that you have. So now, take control. So now you know what the spiritual mindset is. Now you know you have the power to change. And now you know that you have to take control and protect your mind. So as you do this, we learn in the Bible that if you ask and believe, that anything you ask and believe that it can be received. It says it this way, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it is yours. That's right. Ask, believe, and then receive. Well, what if it's something crazy, Pastor? Well, remember, when you ask for things, you ask in accordance to God's will. That's why the listening becomes so important. And you believe with confidence and trust. All right, here's how to apply today's lesson. Here's what you do, and I want you to move into action. First of all, I want you to change your self-talk. That's right, change your self-talk. Your talk is a demonstration of what's going on in your mind. Secondly, change your language. If your language is not uplifting, if your language is not lifting you up, you've got to change the words that are coming out of your mouth. Next, you have to determine the mindset that you need and begin to act on that mindset as if it already exists. So if you want to be an executive, start acting like an executive. Start talking like an executive. Start dressing like an executive. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then start carrying yourself like an entrepreneur, like it has already showed up. Also, what I want you to do is then surround yourself with people who have the mindset that you want to have. Get yourself in a group of people with a mindset that is desirable, that you want to be. Lastly, create the habits to support that mindset. In other words, continue day after day. Consistency is the key. And lastly, this is most important. You got to get out of your comfort zone. That's right, you got to get out of your comfort zone. That may mean you have to drive home a different way. You may have to shift some things. You may have to end some relationships and start some new ones. You may have to change jobs, but whatever it takes, get out that comfort zone, because that's the only way that you're going to have newness in your life. So as I wrap this up today, I want to remind you to go ahead and take action. It's your life. Go do something about it. The power is in your hands. Hi, I'm Casey Kimbrough. This is 2Exalt Ministry, and I want to thank you for joining us. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow. We really appreciate that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow, and visit our website at 2exalt.church, the number 2exalt.church, and there you can give and help support this so we can bring more material to you. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support, and have a great day. And I'll see you next week at the same time.